working? It's a low battery. Well, see your smiles. So today we're in for a treat as always. We have the minister of the day is Reverend Dr. Karen Kohler, and the assistant today is the Minister of Healing, Anka Christine. Well, there she is.
It's close.
Anyway, we're going to be in for a treat today, so enjoy.
I also welcome and greet our visitors and congregation to St. John's Church of Faith. And I'm very happy that you were able to join us this morning, and I am honored to be here with you. And I thank you for making this service part of your day. As Pastor Lloyd mentioned, my assistant today is our non-minister of healing, Aki Christiani, who is studying to become an ordained minister, and we totally welcome her. Thank you. Our hope is that you enjoy today's service, but most importantly, that you learn from the experience. I would like to dedicate this service to someone who's very dear and a very close and dearest friend of Reverend Nancy. Where's Reverend Nancy? Oh, there she is, hiding behind Hank. Carolyn Marina left this earth plane about 2 weeks ago, maybe 10 days. And every time I saw Carolyn, she was smiling. It's the one thing I will always remember about her. And I know that when she looked at people, she was smiling to them and loving them. But she had a way of making you feel that her beautiful, loving smile was just for you. And that smile is a true inspiration. I ask you to join us in singing the first hymn, number 6, Love Divine, standing on the last verse, please. Please remain standing for the invocation. I ask that you bow your head or raise your eyes to the heavens. Universal Father, Mother God, we give thanks for the many gifts and miracles we receive every day. We pray that we are able to consciously see the gifts and miracles that you send our way. We ask for your blessings upon all those who could not be with us today, those in need, those in hospitals and nursing homes. We ask for your blessings for all our servicemen and women across the world, and for all those in the war zones and disaster areas across our world. We ask for your blessings for all those in government who make decisions for our country and across our earth, that they wake up and realize that there is so much more to our lives than who can have the most power, most land, most oil, most money, that they make the best decisions for all concerned and to promote peace among all nations. Every day we ask for many things, and we give thanks for all that we have and all that we will receive, and so it is. I ask also for special prayers for all those involved in the California earthquake this past week. Last week I performed the marriage for a couple that live in Chino, the epicenter of the earthquake. They happen to be here, thank goodness. And my niece, who also lives about 10 minutes from that area. So I give thanks. I ask y'all to raise your voices to the Lord and join us in singing the Lord's Prayer. Was founded. Well, and now we have our spiritual reading, and it's called Guidance. Freely expressing the wisdom of spirit on guided and right ways. As I drive through unfamiliar territory to reach my destination, I may use a global positioning system or GPS. Such an electronic guide provides me with information
quickly and efficiently. I have been created, however, with an inner GPS, all of us, God's powerful spirit, which safely guides me through the twists and turns of life. When I may need to make a decision, when I seem to have more questions than answers, or when I just want assurance that I am on the right path, I trust the wisdom of spirit within to guide me. I am one with the wisdom of God, which is my assurance of being guided in right ways. My inner GPS is true and unfailing, giving me an opportunity to express the wisdom of spirit in all that I do. James 1-5. If any of you is lacking in wisdom, ask God, who gives us to all generously and ungrudgingly, and it will be given to you. Now I have a prayer, what is called the Four Immeasurables by the Dalai Lama from his teachings. I went 2 days to the Dalai Lama, and this is the prayer, what we prayed before we start. And it is very, very beautiful and very truthful. The Dalai Lama emphasizes having a good heart, a compassionate heart. There are four immeasurable states or qualities which lead us to heaven, to have a good heart. These states are love, compassion, joy, and equanimity. May I be filled with love and the cause of love. May I be filled with compassion and the cause of compassion. May I be filled with joy and the cause of joy. May I have equanimity, what means balance, and be free of hatred, greed, and anger. We begin by praying for ourselves. We cannot love others without having tender regards for ourselves first. We cannot offer compassion if we have none towards ourselves. We can have no delight for others if we cannot acknowledge joy in our being. We cannot desire others to be at ease and content if we do not have that sense of balance in ourselves. Eventually, we aim to be able to pray for all others, those we like, those we have been indifferent toward, and those we have considered to be our enemies. Well, now I would like you to give the word to Dr. Reverend Karen Kohler for our beautiful message.
Anki's spiritual reading leads perfectly into today's message, and it was not planned that way, was it? No. She sent it to me, and I said, oh my God, this is perfect. Anyway, I would like to acknowledge to begin with that there are many names for God. Whether we call God creator of all that is, Allah, universal energy, the universal source, great spirit, it is God. And as I usually state before my service, I refer to this individual, this almighty being, as God, because it's a lot quicker and a lot simpler, and most of us can relate to that. I myself call God universal, Father, Mother, God. I'd like you to please close your eyes, place your feet flat on the floor, and take a nice, long, cleansing, deep breath and relax. Relax. Relax into your heart center. And when I say the words, dancing with God, what is the very first thing that comes to your mind? What do you see? And what do you feel? Dancing with God. Glenn is smiling. I see a couple smiles out there. And I would ask if anybody would like to share what they saw and what they felt to the words dancing with God. That's okay. That's very nice. Anyone else want to share? Alice. Cool. Aw, that's very nice. Pastor Lloyd.
Dancing with God is the ultimate healing. To be the best beginning when you dance with Him.
That's right. Kenny.
I don't know if she's a Christian.
See, we all see something a little differently. What? Oh, I'm sorry, Dee. Oh, Bud. I see a Bud hand over there, too. Oh, that's wonderful. I'm sorry, Dee.
I seen someone that was all dressed up like midnight. I don't even know where they had these just
Aw, like Mayday.
just dancing.
Anyone else want to share? Oh, I can't see you.
I saw temple dancers with candles on their hands, dancing for God.
That's neat.
Yes, it was very beautiful to see.
You see how different each of us can see that. What I'm going to share with you is what I feel dancing with God is all about. Dancing with God is allowing and trusting Him to lead us and to guide us every day. It's very much like dancing with your partner. You both cannot lead, or you will stumble on each other's feet and bump into the other people on the dance floor, which sure could be painful, but most funny to watch. One needs to lead, and the other needs to go with the flow of the person leading, correct? When you watch a couple dancing, say on TV, on Dancing with the Stars, or So You Think You Can Dance, they have to work together, or they will not do a very good job. One leads, the other follows. And it's the same with God. Dancing with God takes surrender to Him. It takes working with Him. It takes paying attention to everything that goes on around us. It takes conscious listening, conscious feeling and emotions, conscious responses and speaking, conscious doing in all aspects of our lives. I read somewhere, and I believe it was in an email not too long ago, that the word guidance, which we receive from God, we receive guidance. The word guidance means the G is for God, the U is for you, the I is for I, and then there is D-A-N-C-E, dance. God, you, and I dance, guidance. And I really like the vision that creates in my mind. So we are all dancing together. Many of the things that we hear about in this church on Sunday and in our classes are steps in dancing with God. One of the dance steps, working with, moving with as a dance, with your partner or spouse, sister, brother, mother, father, aunt, uncle, grandparent, a friend, a co-worker, a neighbor, every person that you meet and spend time with is a step to dancing with God. Consciously experience your dance with God and with each person who enters your life. Other dance steps to and with God include experiencing the wonderful attributes of love, tenderness, kindness, happiness, joy, warmth, truth, fruits of the Spirit that we find in the Bible. Stop and notice how you talk and deal with people. Stop and notice how you react when someone treats you poorly or gossips about you. Very often, if someone is treating us poorly, it's really not you. It's usually the person who's treating you poorly and something that they are feeling inside. So there is one of the dance steps with God. It's compassion for that person who's lashing out at you, trying to understand where they're coming from. You may not be able to feel what they're feeling, but you can have the compassion to what they're feeling. And we all do it. Now, how we interact each and every minute of the day and night are our dance steps with God. Something I will share with you. If you choose to use it, it's fine. If not, that's okay. I know it works really well for me. When someone hurts me or says terrible things about me, it is very difficult, even pretty much impossible for me to confront them. And maybe I really am not supposed to confront them. Maybe confronting them would create a lose-lose situation. And that, of course, is nothing that we want to be involved in. So I get all upset and I get goofy and sometimes I cry. And reacting this way really doesn't help me in any way, does it? The hurt used to affect me for years, honestly. How many people experience hurts for years in their lives? Most of us do, and those who don't are very, very, very lucky. As I worked on these emotions within myself, I've been able to bring the hurt down to a year, then to months, then to weeks, days, hours, and sometimes even just minutes. And it's such a sense of accomplishment when I can feel a hurt for only a few minutes. So I'm going to share with you a method that works well for me. While I'm still feeling the hurt and the emotion and the upset, I sit myself down. I found myself sitting on my stairs in my house one day doing this after somebody really caused me a real heartache. I sit myself down and I think about the person who I feel hurt me. Did that feel hurt me? Or I should say maybe the person I allowed to hurt me. So I sit down and I think about this person. And what I do is try to think of really good things that this person has done, not only for me, but for other people. The good that they have done. Sometimes this takes a while, believe me. But as I do this, it is incredibly amazing how the hurt begins to pass out of me. And I will share one little thing with you. One day, I went home, and somebody really upset me. I sat on my steps, and I started to do this. It took me a while, because I was so hurt that I couldn't find something good about this person. All of a sudden, it clicked in. I just asked God, help me out here. I don't want to feel this anymore. And these wonderful thoughts of this person rushed through me. And what was very cool was, at that very moment, that person was emailing me and apologizing. At that very moment in time. It was just such a wonderful, wonderful feeling. I can't explain that to you. Now, the hardest thing for me is to remember to do that. So I'll ask you to give it a try for yourself. Try it more than once. And let me know how it works for you. It's not always an easy process, but I feel a very necessary one, and I know it works for me 99% of the time. It is unfortunate, but life is often a struggle, isn't it? Can we expect to go through life without struggles? I believe the answer is no. We must realize that struggles are often part of our growing process. And unfortunately, there are always lessons to be learned. Sometimes struggles are avoidable, but most times they are not. But you know, if we didn't have these struggles, difficulties, and problems, we probably would not be here on the earth plane, because we would not need to be here. And something that I often share actually from the podium here and in my classes, and that is, it is truly not the situation that matters most. It is not the outcome of that situation that matters most. What matters is how did you handle that situation. I ask that you embrace the opportunity to watch God work. This is what dancing with God is all about. Through our struggles, we experience both sorrow and joy. And learning from other people's experiences can sometimes allow us to prevent difficulties and struggles, but not always. It sure is easier to learn from someone else's mistake than to try to learn from your own mistakes. When we see a person going through great difficulties, more so than other people, it is these times that give us the opportunity to help. We are not just survivors. We are what I call overcomers. As an overcomer, we learn to overcome and to hopefully find the humor and inspiration in our daily lives. It is there. We sometimes just need to find it. And it's not always that noticeable. We all have things to overcome, don't we? And some are just so inconceivable to us. Things like abuse, earthly disasters, war, lifelong illnesses and disease. I often wonder how people handle all this going on in their lives. So you may ask, how do I find humor during hard times? And it is a really tough one to answer, but I'm going to give it a try. See if I have a swallow. By learning to enjoy the simple miracles on a daily basis while finding the strength that God has given us. By realizing how the Father, through his grace, enables us to survive and overcome. Watch what goes on in nature. A mother duck and her little baby ducks attempting to cross the road and making it safely to the other side. This is a miracle. How about a deer crossing in front of a moving vehicle, and it's 3 feet in front of that car, and the car misses it? This is a miracle. This is wonderful to watch as it goes on in nature. By realizing how wonderful people can be when they do things for others. Seeing or reading about people rescuing injured birds and animals, or watching as people and organizations build safe houses for those who are abused and in trouble. By consciously looking for the good, by listening for the good, by doing good, and there really is a lot of good in our world, and a lot of good people in it. Now, there are so many little things that we can do. And I'm going to share one great example with you. I think it's a great example. You may think it's a little thing. As you know, we here at church, we try to recycle, and we collect unused cell phones as a fundraiser. Now, what you may not know is that Reverend Pat and her husband Ray, they go through the cell phones for us. They pick out the ones that are still operational. Some of them even have the user manual. And what they do is they give those to me. And I make sure that they get to Turning Point. We all know what Turning Point is, correct? Okay? It's a safe place for abused women and children. Turning Point takes them and reprograms them for 911 calls and gives them out to the abused children and women so that they have some protection. The remaining cell phones are sent to an organization that pays the church a very minimal amount, but every bit helps. And then that organization takes the cell phones, repairs them, cleans them up, and gives them to shelters and those in need. This is a most wonderful win-win situation, isn't it? You have a small group of people doing each their own little thing. Now, it may not sound like a big thing, but it sure helps a lot of people. We have no idea how many people we can help with these cell phones. It's not always the big things that make the greatest difference. Usually it is the small acts of helping that mean the most. Dancing with God shows us our steps and our missteps on our journey with God, as well as how he guides us through our stumbling and through our fumbling. Even when our willful spirits and our actions trip us up, God shows us understanding, mercy, and love. This is how we need to treat those around us. No, it's not easy for any of us. But the more we work at it, the more often we can do it and the easier it becomes. God invites us into a relationship with him so that we may reach the full potential for which we were created, and that is to know and to honor him. The music of dance becomes the music of a soul that is set free. In the Bible, we can read about King David in Israel. Like the rest of us, King David sometimes failed to follow God's rules. But David loved God, and he was willing to repent and to accept God's corrections for him. In Acts chapter 13, the Bible tells us that God called David a man after his own heart. Now, King David married Michal, the daughter of a king. She was brought up right. She knew proper religion, and she knew what was not proper. Now, the Bible tells us that David was coming back to Israel with the Ark of the Lord. This was an important religious symbol which had been stolen from them in war. And they were so happy to be bringing it back that they started to party. David danced before God. As David's wife, Michal, looked out the window, she saw her husband wearing a simple shift such as a servant might wear, and dancing before the Lord with all his might. Her husband, the king, was dressed like a servant, shouting and leaping with the commoners. Well, she knew and felt that something was very wrong. After all, David's a king. Her husband was someone important and very wrong. And this was a religious event. He just can't act this way. Michal did not join the party. As she listened to the sounds of ceremony and blessings through her open window, she became more and more angry. By the time David got home, he was in big trouble. She read David the riot act. David replied that he would continue to follow God in just the same way. How sad it is that David's wife refused to join in the joy of Israel. She chose religion over the joy of the Lord. It was a poor choice then, and it's a poor choice today. If you want to, you can read more about this story in 2 Samuel chapter 6 in our Holy Bible. I believe that when we die, first we dance before God, and ultimately we dance with him. We are in God's care, and I feel that the thought of this is just absolutely incredibly beautiful. And I hope that all of us help to create a world that is kinder, gentler, and more just. I believe that God wants us to take care of this beautiful earth and the family of creatures that live on it. I believe that he wants us to find a path to peace, including inner peace. And he wants us to find joy and to create joy in the lives of ourselves and others. But here's the question again, how do we do this? It's very hard in our everyday lives. We all work, take care of our children, our grandchildren. One way is to find God through daily meditation and prayer, something we talk about all the time, by reflecting on our prayers, meditations, spiritual readings, and books. Another way is to live our lives with love for all things and all people, to simplify our lives with less material possessions and longings. This is a hard one, isn't it? If you're going to dance with God, how will you do that with your arms full of things? Good thought, huh? Find a place that is sacred to you. It can be a church, a cathedral. Worship is not part of a weekly checklist of things to do, is it? It is a way to honor and encounter God in a special way. So I'd like us all to look at it that way. I know that people in many religions feel that they must go to church on Sunday, and they lose the idea of why they're going to church. You can find a place in nature, by the ocean, in the forest, the desert, in a garden, in your special healing and meditation room, or maybe in the ocean, having fun and frolicking. anywhere you can be still and quiet and connected to God. Cultivate your connection with God. It will give you peace and it will give you meaning to your life. The result of your spiritual love will radiate out to others. It truly does. Your loving God will make this world a better place. When you live with love and respect and compassion, other people will begin to as well. In the Bible, Matthew chapter 12, it begins with Jesus saying, "It is kindness that I want from you." It goes on to give a part of the Old Testament from Isaiah chapter 42, which states, "He will be gentle to those who are weak and kind to those who are helpless. He will persist until he causes justice to triumph, and on him all peoples will put their hope." Jesus lived simply, he prayed, he went to the temple, he was compassionate and loving, and he was generous to an extreme. And of course we all need to be more like this. And this includes having a passionate love for God, which we may express every day in how we live our lives. Most of us have heard Pastor Lloyd make the statement, "I don't care." He says this in a gentle way, not in a harsh way.